Alright guys, it's your boy Ryan Thomas from failtech.co.uk here. Sorry for the horrendous lighting. As you can see, I'm really kind of squint here. But this will change. I'm probably going to clouds later on and I need to sort that out. So today I'm going to be telling you about what it's like owning a HTC One M8. Now the one I have right here is actually bright blue. I've got it with me. It's bright blue. It is the most awesome color of M8. I searched these up on eBay and they currently don't actually have one on there, so it's going to be hard for you to find them. My friend Hayden actually lent this to me for a week. I've actually got to get it back tomorrow. Or lent me it for 5 days, and what a phone it is. And I'm going to tell you just about what it's like, and I'm not going to compare it to the G3. I'm going to do that in a separate video. I'm going to compare it to my Nexus 4 right now. Okay, so pros. The first thing that stands out really is the 5-inch 1080p display. On most phones it's usually the display that stands out, and this is a great display. Viewing angles are decent, but they're not amazing, and it's a 5-inch 1080p display. I think it should really be near enough 720 or just over 720p. Don't think it really needs to be 1080p. It's a great screen. It just uses up a little bit of battery life, but 1080p, obviously, at least it isn't 1440p. 1080p is a very good resolution. It's got a high PPI, which means that you can't really see many of the pixels on the screen, and it's a very, very nice display to feel. With the touch screen, it's actually very, very sensitive. Like, you only have to come very, very close to it to actually activate it. So I don't know if that's really to do with the screen or with software or hardware, but actually it is very, very sensitive to touch. This could be a pro or a con. I see it as a pro because a lot of them, you don't want an unresponsive touchscreen, you want a nice responsive one. Now, the next thing that's going to pop out by a mile, obviously without the blue colour because this is a special edition, the speakers that are actually on the front, and they're stereo speakers. Really, really nice speakers. They're pros because obviously they're facing towards you. A lot of hype has gone around the speakers. They're not the best. They're very, very good. It's almost like having a really kind of low-end portable speaker with you at all times. But if you're buying this to become kind of a party piece speaker, you're better off getting maybe a cheaper phone and then spending £20, like £22, like Harry spent on the Geek speaker actually, like I did a review on, and get one of those because they're much, much better. But watching YouTube videos obviously is pretty cool because, you know, you don't have to cup your hands. You can just kind of hold your hands and it's stereo in front of you. It's pretty awesome. Cameras. Now I call this a pro, but I'm going to tell you something and you're probably not going to believe me on this. The rear camera is a 4 megapixel camera, which is just crazy in this day and age. You know, 4 megapixels, that's hardly anything. What if I told you the front camera is 5 megapixels. That's right, the front facing camera is actually higher resolution than the rear facing camera. Now HTC came out with this big marketing spiel about it being really good in low light and calling it an ultra pixel. And that's where, because there's less pixels, the pixels can be bigger and then draw in more light. It kind of works. This phone is pretty good in low light, I'll give it that. And the dual tone flash on the back is actually pretty effective as well. But it doesn't really live up to ultra pixel name, and I don't think that it's really all that good. But yeah, the cameras are good. They're just, I'm not sure if they could have just gone with a 5 megapixel or maybe 8 megapixel camera. But yeah, it can also do 720p 120 frames per second, and it can do 1080p at 60 frames per second, which is pretty awesome. The front camera can also do 1080p. The edges, it's almost chamfered at the edges. The edges are really, really nice hold. That you would expect a phone like this to be very slippery, but compared to the iPhone, this is very, very grippy. The edges are nice and like solid to hold on to, whereas the iPhones are very rounded. And I think that if you pick up this phone without a case, although I would recommend a case because it is just a beautiful design, I think you're still going to do quite well with it. Now guys, I have actually had to change the settings in the camera now because it's getting very bright outside, as well as it's probably going to get darker. And yeah, you know what, I'm not going to bother with a lighting spiel today. Let's talk about the colour. This is a blue limited edition one. Now, I don't know where Hayden got this. He did tell me, but I completely forgot. And it's a really, really cool colour because, as you guys know, blue is my favourite colour. You might not know that. Blue is my favourite colour, and this blue, this metallic blue, is the most amazing colour to me, and I absolutely love it. I wish my phone was this colour. It's just an amazing phone, and Hayden's lucky to own one of these. Then let's get into the 4G. Now, I don't know if people didn't realise, but the iPhone 5 video, I did say that the iPhone 5 had 4G. I was comparing it to my Nexus, which doesn't. This, again, does have 4G. My Nexus doesn't. And downloads and generally loading up web pages so much faster on this. So much faster. I get 4G quite a lot where I live, and it's got some fun things. I put it in the pros, and I would usually put this in the Quirks, but I thought this was a really, too good to not put in the pros. on one side, although it's like a completely closed off back, you can't access it, it's got no removable battery. It's got micro SD card expansion and obviously the SIM slot. Now that's really cool because you can expand it up to 128 gigs, whether you got the 16 gig or the 32 gig model. And I would recommend upgrading because I just had a look to see if I could clear out any space so I could vlog today with this. The system uses 7 of the 16 gigabytes. 7. That's absolutely ridiculous. I'm not sure if that's really intended or if there's just a lot of system apps. I have upgraded to Android 6 Marshmallow, which this phone does run now. And it uses up a hell of a lot of space, so I would recommend getting an SD card if you're going to get one of these. A micro SD card will do. Try and get the highest one. Get like a SanDisk or Samsung one. They're very, very reliable and I would recommend those. But yeah, the double tap to wake is amazing. It really is. If I just, clear everything out and I just go like that. Oh, you can't see that. And it obviously at the lock screen, it is double tap to sleep as well. So this is really cool. It's also the same as, the LG G3 had this. I love this. The difference between the two is that the LG you could lay flat and do that, whereas this only works half the time when you're laying it flat. It prompts you to hold it up to double tap to wake. It's a bit weird, but I would say that probably the LG is better at this than the HTC One because it's not as responsive and really just wants you to pick up the phone first. Voice recognition. This thing is super, super quick at voice recognition. Not sure if it's the microphones in it or the software, but for some reason the OK Google and stuff like that, which I've got turned off at the moment, so it's not gonna. Oh, it literally just said that. Okay. Well, even if you have it turned off, apparently it's that reliable. The voice recognition is really, really good on this thing, and I think it's great. Okay, some quirks, and I would call these pros, or some of them. There's actually an LED in the speaker, and that's really cool because it takes up one of the little holes in the speaker. I don't know what you call that, like a cheese grate kind of thing. Like the little holes in the speaker is actually the LED, and I'll show you some B-roll of that. That's absolutely awesome. And I think that's a really cool design because it means you don't have to have an extra light. This here looks like a light. It's actually an IR sensor, I think. And then on the back is an IR blaster. But yeah, it's really cool to have the LED in the speaker. I don't know why I was so excited about this. The skin's quite heavy over Android, and I'm not a big fan of it, if I'm honest. HTC Sense 6 is okay. Once I installed Android 6.0 Marshmallow, which did fix some of the bugs and crashes I was having before, which I'll get onto in a little while. There's a hell of a lot of things wrong with it. For instance, in a notification tray, you usually pull down and have it like a brightness slider. You have to pull down a notification tray, click the settings button, then change the brightness. That's really annoying, and it shouldn't be like that, HTC. Like I said, there were some crashes that went on earlier. I'm going to get into the cons now. There were some crashes that went on earlier in Android 5. I installed Android 6, went very, very quickly, and then started to slow down again, and especially in Facebook Messenger, there were a lot of crashes. I've really tried the apps on my Nexus. These are both running the same operating system. Actually, my Nexus is running Cyanogen, and Messenger is a breeze on that phone. On here, though, it crashes a hell of a lot, kind of stutters when you input, and it also kind of crashes when you try and press the home key. Not very good. I would call this almost borderline unusable because of the amount of times it crashes. I'm simply not going to, put my opinion and potentially business, if this becomes a business, in jeopardy by saying that this is recommended, because I cannot recommend it due to the amount of crashes that it has. The LG G3 crashed like once or twice, once in a blue moon. This actually crashes a hell of a lot, and that's why I cannot recommend it for this. Obviously, like I said before, in the cons there is a non-removable battery. You can't change the battery. You could get a case for it if you wanted, but then you're going over the really nice design. Again, you should go like LG, just include a removable battery. Screen real estate. Now, on Android 6, it actually allows you to change the screen real estate, and on here it doesn't actually. Android 6 is running on here, but it won't let me change the screen real estate. And it's 1080p, so you should have a lot of space. I actually have more screen real estate on my smaller screen on my Nexus 4 with a much lower resolution. So surely it should let you change the screen real estate, and unless you've got a system tool that you can install to do this, it actually won't work. And unfortunately, it's just wasted space. Obviously, the icons are nice and big, so if you can't read very well, that's cool. But I think it should let you change your screen real estate. This is actually a much longer, wider screen this way than it is this way, and I'm not used to that because my Nexus 4 is actually much wider than it is tall. And I think that's it, guys. I've ranted and raved about this One M8, and I think it's an absolutely splendid phone. Splendid. It's a great phone. but it's not for me, and I would not recommend it just because of the amount of crashes that it does produce and how annoyed you'll be with this. Sorry to you guys who really wanted me to give this a positive review. I absolutely adore the phone, but I can't recommend it due to the crashes. If you install a CyanogenMod or a custom OS, 100% recommend it because of just how great it is. But it's just not that powerful. It really, if you look at the system specs, it's got a quad-core CPU and 2 gigs of RAM. Now, a lot of other phones have that. And my Nexus 4, that's the same specs, and that's £70. These go for about 150 in decent condition. You can get them 120 in like this kind of condition with a decent amount of dings on them. But guys, I can't recommend it. And it's been your boy Ryan from tailedtech.co.uk here. Sorry for the ranting. Thumbs down from us. Cannot recommend this due to the crashes, and we'll see you later.